Hello everyone, and welcome to the Einstein Analytics EA Plus Basic Academy, the virtual edition. My name is Jason Huffman, and I'm from the Analytics Center of Excellence. Before we get started, I need to present our forward-looking statement slide. I might be talking about things that are features available in the future that are not currently in the product. We remind you to please make all purchasing and investment decisions based on product information that you know is already available today. Now that we've gotten that cleared, I want to thank you all. We understand this is a significant time investment, and we really appreciate you making time to be here. We appreciate all your contributions to our amazing community, and we look forward to some great interactions and many more reasons to give thanks as we go forward. Now, I'd like to quickly set some expectations. This academy was rebuilt to be consumed virtually. As part of that, we've had this more extensive set of prep work, and we really appreciate your investment in completing these activities. It will make the process much more fun when we get to the interactive sections when working together. I'm going to present a much abbreviated set of preparation material. I'm going to reference where you can deep dive and learn more about this information in greater detail at the standard set of Academy recordings. As you identify anything with the videos that you're seeing, we highly encourage you to note these questions and please bring them to the interactive sessions. We look forward to answering them for you. Now, we're going to be talking about a lot of new information, and there are many great resources that are out there for you. Here are two of my favorites: the Einstein Analytics Learning Map and the Trailblazer Community. We highly encourage you to take our conversations to the community, and we will be there to help you find answers. If you forget where those links are, they're available directly within the product. You can activate the Learn to get to the Learning Map or the Community to get to the Trailblazer Community. And of course, if you have some amazing content, we look forward to showcasing that as well in our Trailblazer Content Help Center. Did I say we have lots of help available? We have a ton of help available. We have lots of links here. We've highlighted one of the more important ones is the link to the Academy YouTube video collection, where you can replay these in much greater detail. However, there are also numerous other links that you might find of benefit here within this page. And if you'd like some help with some design tips, we have a link for that as well. Now let's get started. Let's talk about some basic terms for Einstein Analytics. We have introduced some of our own new terminology, and it will help if we all baseline with using the same terms so that we can quickly come up to speed with how to best use the Einstein Analytics solution. We've designed Einstein Analytics Plus for every business user. You will be able to generate the experiences for your end user, all of the experiences that are detailed on this slide. You will be able to create analytics for everyone, from your individual contributor to your most senior officers in your organizations. Einstein Analytics is a complete all-in-one analytics platform. There's nothing else that you will need to bring. However, there are certainly some solutions that will complement it and enhance it, and we will talk about that. It's intelligent, where we have the capabilities to look for patterns in your data. It's easily available on the mobile devices, and it's easy to create applications to quickly get up and running and generate analytics that allows your users to take action. We are constantly improving the product. It is massively scalable and completely trusted and backed by our commitment. We'd like to call attention to the power of the analytics application. Here in this example, a user is simply sitting down to enjoy their flight and is presented with some interesting analytic information about their journey. This is a great example of a self-service dashboard where a user can quickly discern what's going on with their flight and things like when they will land and whether or not they're on time or if there was a delay. We'd like for you to be able to incorporate this in your transactional environment, where it is just like the user sitting down in their seat, not changing anything about how they're participating in their flight. Your users will be able to just continue to use your transactional environment as they do today, but get significantly enhanced information from Einstein Analytics. These call-out bubbles are highlighting some of our favorite features. Your users can simply examine their account pages like this user is doing today, and the first bubble indicates a notification of change in pipeline. The second bubble is allowing the user to see additional analytics presented information about this account so that they can understand what's been happening over time. And the third bubble is definitely very interesting, where Einstein Discovery has gone off and identified some patterns that will enable this user to understand if they can tailor the experience with this account to improve their chance to win. And of course, as we talked about, they can take action to set up calls, tasks, and many other items that we'll talk about. And before we dive into the tactical of how we do things within Einstein Analytics, we wanted to leave you with our mnemonic about things that you should consider when you're constructing a dashboard. If you're checking all the boxes here, then you are building effective dashboards. We hope that you actively take this opportunity to leverage the great intelligence solution set within our utilities, that the dashboards you build are highly collaborative, that your end users can take action on what they see, that immediately approaching the dashboard, they're able to self-service and understand the information. And if you're embedding it, there's nothing the user is going to have to change to access this information. And of course, we hope that your dashboards include smart design so that things are simple and easy for the end user to determine. So with that, let's get into the meat of our conversation. We'd like to start using Einstein Analytics. So let's frame it with a simple user use case. Your users have come to you with questions. They want to know who owns how much in the opportunities that you're selling. What industries are selling well? Where in the US are we selling? And are we tracking effectively to make our numbers for the quarter? With Einstein Analytics, you simply need to focus on where the data will be coming from to answer each of these questions, and simply combining it together into our data set. You can see here that we're highlighting some technical details, but the key takeaway is that the data set is built from the ground up for queries to function very quickly and effectively with massive volumes of data. And it's also designed to be constructed more easily. The focus of constructing the data set is more focused on what is the entire set of data that needs to be considered, and simply just combining that data together so that all the information is available per each row. We've designed the process to get the data in to be much more simplified than some solutions in the past, and we've designed the data set to support extremely fast querying at large volume. So how do you get the data into the data set? This will require a data flow. The data flow is going to be running the set of instructions to get the data from one destination, transform it, and register it as a data set that's available to the end user. If you're acquiring data from Salesforce, the Dataset Builder is an easy way to construct your data flows, and we'll get hands-on with the Dataset Builder later. If you have data already within Einstein Analytics and you'd like to tailor it, recipes are a nice user interface to be able to make these updates, and we'll also be constructing some recipes. If you're pulling data from external sources, our Connect utility is how you'll be acquiring that data. With the Connect utility, you see some examples here of some of the cloud-based solutions that we're pulling data from. You can leverage each of those to be pulling your data into EA. Now, you don't just have to pull data in. You might already have some utilities listed here or similar utilities that are able to move data around and push it into external systems. EA supports the ability for these systems to push data in. Once the data is in the data set, you'll want to explore the data and generate queries. We will get hands-on later with the Explorer interface and how that works. When you combine a bunch of queries together, the result is a dashboard. On the top, we have our example of a desktop dashboard, and on the bottom is a mobile dashboard. In these examples, you're seeing the combination of dozens of queries on one dashboard page. Once you've accumulated your queries, your data sets, and your dashboards, you can bundle these together into an application. Here we show you the core types of applications. There is a private application that every user has that contains information that will not be visible to anyone else. The shared app is the global public application, and a custom app you can see on the right allows you to share the app with specific users in your organization. You could create a sales app and share it with your sales team. You could create a human resources app and share it with your HR team, etc. Or if you'd like a visual representation of how this app world looks, here we have shown that we're pulling data in and saving it into our data set. We're creating queries and saving those into dashboards, and all of these are bundled together and published as an app. Now let's talk more about the Dataset Builder. In our instances, we've already enabled data sync. If you're not seeing some of the capabilities here in your home instance, you may need to enable data sync to have them all made available, or you may need to be assigned the right permissions so that you can edit the activities that we're doing. Please note that when you enable data sync, there is a notification that describes a set of expectations that you'll have to take into consideration for when you enable data sync. Be sure to review that information carefully. As I mentioned, the Dataset Builder is the easiest way to acquire data from Salesforce. If you remember our business user use case, they had questions about data that existed in the opportunity, the account, and the user objects. In here, we've used the Dataset Builder to express the data that we'd like to acquire. How do we access the Dataset Builder? We activate the Create button, indicate that it's a data set, and select that we are from Salesforce data. So I'm going to go hands-on and show you how that works. I'm going to log into my instance. And activate the Analytics Studio. And here I have the Create button in the upper right, and I hit Create Dataset from Salesforce Data. I simply give my dataset a name. I may, for example, add it to the default Salesforce data flow, and then select Next. And from here, when we do our interactive exercise, we will start construction from the opportunity object. Some Dataset Builder tips and tricks. If you're starting to pull data in from Salesforce, the Dataset Builder is the best place to begin. It will allow you to browse the metadata of the objects. What does that mean? It will make it easier to connect the parent objects and the children. So in our example, the opportunity and the account. And if you want to know where to start, the general framework we provide is you ask yourself, what is this data set about? And that usually gives you a good starting point. Now, if you think about the different types of data that you could pull in from the Dataset Builder, the question then is, how do we combine them into a data set? Here we have product data, opportunity data, account data, and user data. How could we combine these into data sets? Well, there are at least 4 different data sets we could create. We could create data sets with individual components of information, or we could create data sets with all the information. But what we're hoping is that you're able to find use cases where you can use the more simplified combination of all the data. And so we'll be talking about it within our class, mostly within this framework. And at the end of the class, we'll talk about some examples of when you might be splitting up these data sets separately. Now, after you've articulated the data that you'd like to extract with the dataset builder, it will allow you to then edit the resulting data flow that gets created. Again, the data flow is the set of instructions that are executed to pull the data in and to perform transformations and then registering it, which makes the data sets available to end users. Data flows can be scheduled or manually run or triggered to execute. When you're editing data flows, we highly recommend that you download and back up these instructions and store them in your source control management system. Next, we might want to consider uploading data from a CSV file. So how do we do this? We hit the Create Dataset and CSV Upload. So if I go back into Analytics Studio, again I have the Create button to create dataset and to upload from a CSV file. And then we will be doing this in class in our interactive session. Now let's quickly talk about recipes. The recipes are the friendly UI experience for you to be able to combine data and also perform some manipulation of the data. How do we get to the recipes? We simply need to activate the recipe from the data set, and I'll show you some quick tips and tricks that are highlighted here on this slide. So here I am in the Analytics Studio, and I need to find a data set. So if I browse all items, here I have my dataset DTC opportunity, and from here I can go ahead and activate to create a recipe. I will simply call the recipe whatever I want, and then I hit next, and now I'm in the recipe editor interface. And my favorite tricks that I'd like to call out is we have these two panels here, preview and columns, and if I toggle between them, you can see that columns is an easy way to find all the columns or to also search for columns and jump directly to a column that I would like to edit or review. So here I'm editing the stage column. On the right, you see some profile information about the column. It's showing you the most values that it's observed and some other interesting information depending upon the type of column. If you want to have more space, you can turn the column profile on and off. The other interesting thing is the Einstein suggestions at the bottom. He identifies formulas that you might want to apply to the different fields based on the information available in the column. And now we'd like to jump ahead to some more components of the design layer just to showcase some additional information before we have our interactive sessions. We like to provide you a set of apps to jumpstart your ability to be constructing analytics solutions. One of the apps that is included is the Sales app. Now there is a ton of information on this slide as well as a ton of information in our class, and we're not expecting you to memorize everything. The key takeaway from this slide is that we've designed the app as a great starting place for everyone in your organization. Your individual contributors have dashboards pre-built for them. The sales managers of those users have dashboards that are specifically built for them, as well as for sales ops and your executive leaders. Now, you're certainly welcome to pause this slide and review these in more detail, but there's a lot of information to cover. We have a similar set of information for the service app. Again, you can see that we've designed dashboards and features for everyone who could be using the application in your organization. Now, we understand that many businesses run their operations for both sales and services very uniquely, and it's not necessarily an indication that every dashboard will be applicable to every organization. But we have two types of ways of tailoring these applications. They can be configured to meet the needs of your organization, and when the application has completed construction, you can completely tailor the layout or design and configuration of the application. So we're looking at these as great starting points for you to begin your journey. Now, there are lots of applications and templates out there. We're not presenting this slide so that you'll remember all of them, but so that you have this reference list to come back to the additional information if you need it. And if you want to see more information about templates, you can activate these URLs, and there are certainly some great demonstrations and a wealth of information for you to learn more information about our apps and our templates. Now, I'd like to quickly show you how we may install the Sales Analytics app. I simply just need to go back to Analytics Studio, and I hit Create, and then I select App, and I'm going to start my app from a template, and I'm going to use the Sales Analytics app, and I will continue. Here we see a preview of our app. So if you're interested in other apps, you can browse those and look at their previews as well to see if it meets the needs of what you're looking for. Here it shows some of the dashboards that will be constructed. It also talks about the features and indicates the objects that will be used. So this app is going to automatically build a data flow that extracts the data from all these objects and automatically build dashboards that consume the data from these objects. So how do we accomplish this? We just go ahead and hit continue. And here we see in this example, our org did not pass the minimum requirements. It needs one event record to exist for us to continue. So I can go to my core instance, and I can switch to the service app. And if I find any account, I simply can add a new event. And go ahead and save. My event was created. So now I can go back and continue with my Sales Analytics app. And excellent, we are now passing the minimum requirements. I say looks good, I can go next. Now, if you have a highly customized instance, you may want to directly jump into the custom configuration. If you go through the custom configuration, we will confirm the objects that we have uncovered, and then we will allow you to select which fields you want via the wizard interface. As you can see, we're already on step 4 of 9, and we can continue until we are complete. However, for this example, we can go ahead and start with the basic config, where we will try to automatically determine the fields and values that you'd like to use, and we will just say looks good next. Now, you may always come back after the basic config and tailor it with a custom configuration if it did not meet your needs. So here I will call it Sales Analytics app, and I will hit create. And now we are off and running with building our application. We simply just need to wait, and we will be emailed a notification when we are complete. If you do want to keep checking back, you will get status updates of how far along we are with creating our application. Now, we've had a lot of great product features released recently. In the wintertime, there was many interesting features, and these are just some of the favorites that have been pulled together. Now, again, there's a lot on the screen to remember, but if I quickly highlight some of my favorites, I like the additional data flows that we can now run within the 24-hour period, as well at the increased interval of 15 minutes. At the design layer, a huge favorite was Salesforce Direct, where we can quickly and easily run queries back into the core system. And in the intelligence layer, we continued to expand, even adding a new model for evaluating patterns in data. And this most recent release that came out early 2020 also had some amazing highlights. These are just a sample of what was released recently. Some of my favorites here are the data catalog to evaluate from the data that you're extracting, where it's coming from. And within the design layer, there's been some really fun enablement of blending data together to make it easier to group advanced patterns. And also, we've made it much easier to create dynamic interactions, and we'll be showing you that, doing that hands-on in the interactive sessions of our class. With the intelligence layer, again, we enhanced our models and also expanded a pilot for the number of rows of data that we can evaluate. Now, that was a lot of information, and we quickly went through it. If you'd like to review the information in more detail, you can deep dive into any of these chapters with the links in the slide deck that I shared. Thank you. I'm looking forward to talking to everyone at our interactive session.